Hey, what's up everyone? This is Miracle MS at your service. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the brand new trailer for Captain Tsubasa 2 World Fighters, the official sequel to Captain Tsubasa Rise of New Champions. If you watched the announcement trailer that dropped recently, you know the hype is real. We're moving on from Rise of New Champions, and this looks like a massive step up in every way. So let's break it all down. What we've seen, what it means for the game, and why fans should be super excited, or at least cautiously optimistic after the last one. I'll go through the big changes from this trailer, explain the tech side, the gameplay improvements, and everything else that caught my eye. First off, the engine switch is huge. The trailer confirms we're now running on Unreal Engine, and from the visuals and physics shown, it looks like Unreal Engine 5. The previous game used Tamsoft's custom in-house engine, which relied on a variable time step system. What does that mean in simple terms? In variable time step engines, physics and game logic are tied directly to the frame rate. Every frame your system renders, the game processes physics based on how much time has passed since the last frame. So if you're running at 60 FPS, everything feels consistent, but drop to 20 FPS and weird stuff happens, like shoots traveling further or dealing more damage because fewer frames mean the game skips distance calculations or applies forces differently. A classic example, shooting from midfield at low FPS could make the ball act like it covers more ground or hits harder on the goalkeeper, while at high FPS it's normal. It made the game inconsistent across hardware, which was huge when you were playing on different PCs. Check out this clip, for instance, to see what I mean. Unreal Engine 5 brings chaos physics, which uses fixed time steps and async physics processing. That means the simulation runs independently of your render frame rate. Whether you're at 30 FPS, 60 FPS, or dipping lower, the physics, ball movement, collisions, everything stays deterministic and identical. No more frame rate dependent exploits or inconsistencies. This alone is a game changer for fairness and consistency. But the real killer feature everyone was complaining about in Rise of New Champions? The online mode. Oh man, where do I even start? The old custom engine required lockstep netcode. Basically, both players had to know every single frame of the opponent's actions to render the next frame accurately. If you were playing at 30 FPS, you needed your opponent's exact 30 frames per second synced perfectly. That meant your ping had to be lowered at 33 milliseconds to avoid issues. In practice, even with fiber internet in the same country, best case ping is around 30 milliseconds, and that's optimistic. Any higher and frames get dropped, delayed, or skipped. On PC at 60 FPS, double the problem, you need half the latency. 60 milliseconds basically, which is basically impossible unless you're in the same city. The netcode would either skip frames, causing teleporting players, guy in midfield suddenly in the penalty area, or freeze the game waiting for catch-up. And the lag got worse over time, as unsynced frames piled up like a growing gap between two cars. Worse still, mismatched frame rates gave massive advantages. If one player ran at 10 FPS and the other at 60 FPS, the lower FPS player often got buffs, shoots bypass keepers more easily, harder tackles, more damage because their slower simulation cheated distance and timing. And ironically, lower FPS sometimes made online smoother because fewer frames to sync. You could literally unplug your charger, drop to power saving mode, tank FPS, and gain an advantage. This was ridiculous. Unreal Engine changes all of that. It has built-in battle-tested replication systems, sending updates at fixed intervals, handling prediction, interpolation, and lag compensation without needing every single frame. No more frame perfect sync requirements. Online should feel way smoother, more stable, and fair regardless of hardware or connection. This is likely the main reason they rebuilt on Unreal Engine. The old engine's netcode limitations were baked in too deep to fully fix with patches. Okay, moving to gameplay stuff from the trailer. The clashing system looks revamped. In the old game, clashes were these weird aerial buttons, mashing flashes, hard to read stances, just felt chaotic. Now it seems more grounded, readable, and less smashing into each other mid-air nonsense. I consider that a big improvement. I could be reading too deep into this. This could just be the same as before. Who knows? Aerial shoots are finally getting some love. We had that slow, underwhelming rolling overhead as the best aerial shoot we had, but now we're seeing proper animated aerial techniques. Think overhead tiger, fire shoot variants, hurricane style flare. These look dynamic with cutscenes and impact. Aerial play is going to be a bigger focus, not just ground-based stuff. New super moves tied to a gauge system, activating on passes, blocks, tackles, and dribbles as far as we know. We saw one where a player comes flying from across the field to steal the ball. I think that was Jito, right? Yeah, that was Jito with a dump truck tackle. These look game-changing for defense. Rise of New Champions had issues with position demon and no real counters besides, the V-saves and stuff like that. Essentially, you couldn't really get the ball from whoever was using the infinite stamina build because there was no good guaranteed defense system in the game. The best you could do was have a super save with a fully charged V-zone, but then the whole possession thing allowed him to even bypass the goalkeeper and score. So there was no counterplay to that. Now we seem to have a solid counterplay against that kind of playstyle. So this should shake up the meta hard for the new game. I'll get into that in another video, but yeah, that's one thing I realized from the trailer. Another thing, it seems like we have something like a hyper shoot. The game has this extra animated high-powered shoots, maybe like a stage 3 evolution, like hyper driver shoot with like a Phoenix variant. Because we had like a no tiger shoot thing in the trailer, which means no tiger shoot is in the game. But we know Hyuga is going to have a tiger shoot as a V1 shoot. So, according to the manga, Hyuga does get a Raiju shoot, which should be in this new game. But that's a different variant, and you really can't put it in the same tier as no tiger shoot. It's on a whole other level. So apparently we're gonna get hyper shoots. And then you have like Tsubasa's special driver shoot. We have skydive shoots, all of the things that we saw in the trailer. Unless they're specific scenario cutscenes, which I don't think so, they should be available for, the gameplay. And that means some sort of hyper shoot being available. Anyway, shooting direction freedom is improved. One of the things that we realized, you can see at the top left corner that there's this direction you can hold for your shoots. So whichever direction you hold is the direction the shoot is gonna go. So in the old game, moves like high fire were locked to the ground paths, limited aiming. Now it looks like you can choose trajectories more freely. You can pick high, you can pick low, you can pick curved, though probably there's some sort of logical limit there. It's probably not like, and you can do like 180-degree impossible angles from corners. Another thing we noticed from the trailer is the chain mechanics. If you check in this scene right there, you can see a chain 3. Dribble chains probably build a count or boost before zone activation. Last game had easy zone with like special, as you could have 2 dribbles and then that would activate zone for you, or you could use like Clive or skill. I think it was show time. Yeah, I think it was show time, where you would just activate zone with 1 dribble in the attacking third. But now it seems like there's a chain mechanic. Now the number of dribbles matter beyond activating zone. Another big thing in the trailer that was shown is the Goalkeeper revamp. The old one felt like a dummy wall, I'm not kidding. Like, the new system shows the ball's path with these highlighted zones. You have to move the stick to the landing spot for perfect save, near it for good, and the red zones you just take very bad damage. And it's almost guaranteed goal. Obviously this means that closer shoots mean less reaction time, more guesswork, which actually feels realistic. You know how if you've played Goalkeeper like in real life, and there's this 1v1 scenario, the best you can do to defend is just block one side and pray your opponent doesn't shoot on the other side. This feels more built up to that. So the closer you are to the goal, the more your opponent has to guess where you're shooting. So this actually feels realistic. I'm a bit worried about miracle saves, like miracle goals, to be more precise. Because what happens if you always guess right? Like, is Miracle Goal just removed from the game, or is it only gonna happen when you guess somewhat wrong? Because if that happens, then it could just be completely shut down. You know, imagine like Sangor's arc bridge shoot. That shoot demands you to have some distance from the goal. You need to be outside of the penalty area. But then if he shoots that, you're always going to guess right. And if you guess right, first of all, it's unfair for you to guess right and then still get Miracle Gold. But it's also unfair to Sangor to essentially anyone who uses arc bridge shoot to not be able to Miracle Goal anymore with that shoot. So it just feels like it kills the move. So they're either completely removing Miracle Goals from the game entirely, or this seems more like a different system or mechanic being implemented there. But it does seem like we can actually manage, you know, spirit damages better. But we have to see how it goes. Like in Rise of New Champions, spirit damage was solely based on how far the goalkeeper was from the goal, what angle you shot, and how far you were from the goal, and how strong your shoot was. Now it seems like most of those parameters are gone. It's just how strong the shoot is, how far it is from the goal, and how you react to it as the goalkeeper. We'll have to see how it goes. We need more info or trailers from the game to understand that. Another thing interesting about the game is that every player now has a new gauge, likely for those super moves or special activations. It could tie into stamina, spirits, or other new mechanics. This is something we can't really discuss too much about. We never saw any of them activated on screen and see what happens to the gauge. But I'm just assuming. Apparently every player has like one specific super move attached to him. So again, we have to wait and see how that goes. An interesting thing about this is the platforms. You know, Rise of New Champions had the PS4, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. Now here we're getting PS5, Xbox Series XS. Xbox was not in the previous installment. Nintendo Switch, and PC. So here's the funny part. PS4, I say it's definitely coming. You know, because Nintendo Switch is a weaker version of PS4. You know, the games that are released for Nintendo Switch, they need the better graphics to run on the PS4. And then we have the PS5, which has the best of graphics. So it feels weird to have something better than the PS4 and have another build weaker than the PS4, but not have PS4. I say it's definitely coming in PS4. So yeah, there's a high chance we're going to get cross-gen in this one as well. It's been the hype recently. Almost every game that comes out now has cross-gen implemented. Now it's using Unreal Engine. It can support Xbox Series XS. And yeah, there's a very high chance we're going to get cross-gen as well. Not sure if it's going to have the same like generation cross-gen or anything like that. Is PS4 going to be able to play with PS5, or Switch is going to be able to play with PS5? I don't know how that's going to turn out. We just have to wait and see. Other upgrades that we saw was that there are 22 national teams, double the 11 from before, and 110 playable characters, which is ridiculous. Custom characters are obviously confirmed. More teams means more variety. Hopefully real clubs or high school teams are added there as well, but we'll have to see how that goes. It's not too hard for them to make high school. Like, they're already making the Japanese players. Maybe like they have to make like a couple more. But other than that, it shouldn't be that difficult to have high school or club teams added. But we have to see how it goes. Overall, this trailer screams we listened. You know, the engine switch fixes the core tech problems that plagued online and consistency. Gameplay looks flashier, more balanced, with better defense, aerials, and variety. Honestly, after Rise of New Champions' issues, this feels like a redemption. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned, and I'll see you all next time.